The Nissan Leaf may have been a massive sales success, but in my opinion, it was far from a looker. In fact, I've got a picture of one here. There we go. Look at its sad, pathetic little face. Oh, no, that really isn't my cup of tea. Thankfully, there is a new model which looks a lot better. So, time to get rid of this. There we are. Oh, get that out of my sight. The new Leaf has a similar design language to the latest Nissan Micra, which in my opinion can only be a good thing. And in fact, to look at, there aren't too many hints to tell you this car is electric, because it looks much more like a conventional hatchback compared to its predecessor. Okay, so you do have badges down the side that say 0 emission, and of course you have this flap here where you have access to your charging ports. Speaking of which, let's talk about the battery. It's a 40 kilowatt hour laminated lithium ion battery that is mated to an electric motor, which is good for 150 horsepower with 320 newton meters of torque. This power is of course mated to the front wheels via an automatic gearbox. 62 miles per hour is dealt with in a respectable 7.9 seconds, and the top speed is 89.5 miles per hour, which may not seem very fast, but that is almost 20 more than the legal limit in the UK, therefore it's plenty. However, what you really want to know is what the range is like. Thankfully, the new Leaf has got a larger capacity battery than its predecessor, meaning it has more range. So using the WLTP method of testing, the new Nissan Leaf has a range of 168 miles. However, if you're only going to be using the car in town, that figure rises to 242 miles. For those of you looking for even more range, fear not, because you can buy the E Plus model. This has a larger battery, 62 kilowatt hour battery to be precise, which has more power and of course more range. So compared to the 168 offered by the 40 kilowatt hour battery, this battery offers 239 miles. That's enough about the batteries though. How is the car to drive? Like the outside, on the inside, there isn't a lot to really give you a clear indication this car is electric. Look at the dashboard and everything seems to be normal until you start the car up. And you get no noise, no fanfare, no engine revs or anything, because of course this car is electric. And when you first drive it, you wonder if it's even on. Obviously, it is on. Just can't believe how silent it is. It almost feels like I'm shouting at you right now. So I do apologise if I am. I shall lower my tone. So yeah, the first thing to hit you is just how eerily quiet it is. Barely hear anything at all. Right, let's pop the drive selector into drive. Disengage the electric parking brake, and away we go. Now the other thing to strike you when you drive an electric car, if you're not used to it, because I will be honest, it's not very often I drive electric cars, is just how smooth and responsive it is. So I've already given you the performance figures, but because this car is electric, you put your foot down and away you go. There's no delay, the power is delivered instantly, and to be honest, it is quite addictive. It is quite fun having that kind of urgent power delivery, but it doesn't feel jolty or it doesn't feel sudden. It's just a very smooth, responsive power delivery. So smooth, it makes silk look really rough and horrible. Yeah, I must admit, this car is really nice to drive. It is very, very relaxing and very, very easy. I just love how the power delivery just makes this car so effortless to drive. And better still, the new Nissan Leaf comes with a feature called e-pedal. What is e-pedal, I hear you ask? Well, let me explain. So some electric cars, they have regenerative braking. So when you brake, instead of wasting that power, they get that back and put that power back into the battery. Therefore, you're not losing range or power when you're braking. You're not wasting energy, basically, which is pretty good. And you've also got the B driving mode, which takes that a step further. However, what Nissan has done to take it even further is to fit the e-pedal. So at my feet, I've got a brake pedal and an accelerator, as you would normally have in an automatic car. But when you engage the e-pedal, when you lift off the accelerator, the car gently brakes itself, like so. Let me lift off, nothing behind me, not braking at all. And as you can see, or hopefully see, the car has slowed me down progressively to a complete standstill. Now, it does take a while to get used to, so I must admit, when I first drove this car, I came out the depot where I collected it, and I did this. So I went... I just couldn't quite get used to the sensation of really having to be thoughtful about how you position your foot on the pedal and how much pressure you put through it. But the e-pedal is great because it means you can essentially drive this car with just one pedal. And you may think, well, do I really need that? It sounds like marketing mumbo jumbo. I really don't need a feature like that. But trust me, once you've lived with it, I'm pretty sure you would miss it. Because this car, driving it, is a complete breeze. As well as being easy to drive, the Nissan Leaf is comfortable as well. Now, I will concede, at slower speeds, you do notice a firm edge to the ride, and it is a little bit jiggly and a little bit bumpy. However, once you get it up to speed, the ride is good, it's compliant, the seats are comfortable, and the suspension is able to soak up most bumps pretty well. Now, going back to the seats, to begin with, I thought they wouldn't have enough lumbar support for a longer journey, and I've done some relatively long motorway journeys in this car, and I'm happy to report that the lumbar support has been absolutely fine. Right, let's talk about the handling. And to be honest, the handling is pretty good. Okay, it's no hot hatch, but it's not designed to be. There's a decent amount of grip from these Dunlop tyres. There is a little bit of body roll, but the brakes are pretty good once you get used to them, because the feedback from the pedal is a bit odd, because this car does have regenerative braking, of course. The steering isn't fantastic though. It's too light for my liking, which, yes, I know it's better for manoeuvrability around town, but out here on the twisty stuff, I'd want it to be a little bit heavier, and it's got no life to it. It offers very little feedback. Now, I know the same could be said for quite a few family hatchbacks of this size and price, but yeah, the steering, there's not much going on, to be honest. However, that isn't to say this car can't be fun when you find the right road, because it can be pretty good fun to throw around bends. Woohoo! Look at that, look! An electric car is making me smile. A bona fide petrol head has been made happy by an electric car. Who'd have thought it? What about when you've had your fun and it comes to charging the car? Well, as standard, the Leaf comes supplied with 2 charging cables, a 6-metre 3-pin EVSE cable and a 3-metre Mode 3 Type 2 charging cable. In regards to charging times, if you use a rapid charger, you can get the Leaf from 0 to 80% in 40 minutes, whereas if you plug it into a traditional plug socket, it will take over 21 hours to go from flat to full. However, if you're able to get a pod point system fitted at your home, you can get the Leaf charged from 0 to 100% in around 7.5 hours. In regards to charging costs, they can vary, of course. The local charging point I was using was 22p per kilowatt hour, meaning it would cost £8.80 to charge this car from flat to full. In regards to economy, the most I was able to get out of the car was 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is equivalent to around 138 miles to the gallon. This means the Leaf will be cheaper to run than an ICE car, and it will be cheaper to maintain as it has less moving parts. Therefore, it should be more reliable and it will cost less to service, as you don't have to replace consumables like oil filters, spark plugs, etc. There is a downside though. Whilst it may be cheaper to run, it's more money to buy in the first place compared to an internal combustion alternative. Speaking of price, let's talk about the trim levels. There are 3 available: Acenta, N-Connecta and Tecna. Acenta starts from £26,690, offering features such as 16-inch alloy wheels, 7-inch touchscreen, smartphone connectivity, navigation, rear-view camera, e-pedal and a host of safety features including high beam assist, autonomous emergency braking, cross-traffic alert and lane departure warning. N-Connecta starts from £28,390, offering features such as heated front seats, fabric and synthetic leather seats, heated steering wheel, a round view monitor and 17-inch alloys. That of course leaves Tecna, which starts from £29,890, boasting features such as ProPilot, Bose 7-speaker sound system, heated front and rear part leather seats with ultra suede inserts and full LED automatic headlights. For those of you wondering, the car tested here is the N-Connecta, but it is a bit more money because it has the optional spring cloud green paintwork and the ProPilot system. That's the price covered, but how practical is it? The Leaf is much like your standard family hatchback, therefore it should be pretty practical. Now there is a good amount of space in here, although I do have a gripe in regards to the driving position. The steering wheel, annoyingly, only adjusts for rake and not reach. So the steering wheel goes up and down, well, down and up, like so, but it doesn't come towards me or go away from me, which means I've had to bring my seat a little more forward than I would want to. So yes, that is a little annoying, well, quite annoying, for a car that is almost £30,000. Tut, 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 Nissan. But there are a good amount of cubby holes to make up for it. The door bins are of a good size. I've been able to fit in a 750ml bottle of water with a bit of space left over. You've also got 2 cup holders in the middle, which again, I can just about squeeze my bottle into. It doesn't quite fit in. There we are, it fits in better in that one. You've got a storage compartment here, which kind of looks like the half of a bike saddle on the top. That's got a relatively good amount of space. Got a nice slot for your smartphone, which is angled downwards, which is quite handy. So when you accelerate or brake, it doesn't move about. Very handy indeed. Although it kind of looks like a wireless phone charging pad, which it isn't. However, you do have a USB port if you want to charge your phone and also use the smartphone connectivity. And last but not least, you do of course have a glove box, which offers a decent amount of space. Rear space isn't a strong point for the Nissan Leaf. Right, let me step in like so. Apologies if my microphone rustles on my coat. As always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I'm 6'2", so I am of course a taller person. And I must admit, my legroom isn't too bad. It's quite respectable, and knee room is also pretty good as well. However, headroom isn't fantastic. I've got enough, but anyone taller than me would struggle. Could you fit 3 adults back here? No, I don't think so. The middle seat is quite slim, as you would expect for a car of this size, and you've got a large transmission tunnel. So sitting in the middle, you have to have your legs open a bit, and there's a little less headroom as well. Not much, but a little less. So would I want to be sat here for a long or even a medium journey? No, I wouldn't. So I think really the back is best suited for 2 adults or perhaps 3 children. I reckon you could potentially fit 3 children back here. And of course you've got ISOFIX points as well. Let's have a look at the boot, shall we? As you can see, the weather has just turned against me, but the show must go on. So the boot offers a very usable 435 litres, which is more than the Volkswagen e-Golf, the Hyundai Kona Electric and the Renault Zoe. The opening is wide enough, but there is quite a high loading lip, which could be of an annoyance. But what's quite handy is that you have two netting areas either side where you can keep the cables that come supplied with the car. So here I've got a 6 metre 3-pin EVSE cable, and over here I've got a 3 metre Mode 3 Type 2 charger, well, cable. Obviously, if you're going out on a journey and you don't need the cables, then you can simply leave them at home and have a bit of extra storage. Now, speaking of extra storage, if you need more space, you can, of course, fold down the 60/40 rear seats to give you 1,176 litres, which, to be honest, isn't as large as some of its rivals. There's also quite a large step as well, which could be of annoyance. I do have one more annoyance, but this is more of a personal one. Because I'm quite tall, I find quite often I hit my head on the end of the tailgate, which is, yes, a bit of an annoyance, but it's a first world problem. Overall though, the boot of the Nissan Leaf, yep, it's pretty practical. God, this weather, man alive, God. What about safety? Even on the base model, the Nissan Leaf comes standard with a lot of safety equipment, including 6 airbags, autonomous emergency braking, cross-traffic alert, lane departure warning, high beam assist, and intelligent lane intervention. So it should come as little surprise that Euro NCAP awarded the Leaf with 5 stars. The car tested here is fitted with the optional Pro Pilot, so it even has semi-autonomous driving features, which comes in dead handy for motorway driving. The new Nissan Leaf had big shoes to fill when it had to replace the old model, but I think it's done it. It's got better performance, it's got better looks, and more importantly, it's got a better range. So I really think Nissan has hit the sweet spot here, and I think this will do just as well, if not better, than its predecessor. Yes, there are a few negatives. Some of the interior plastics are a little bit cheap. There could be more space in the rear, and for me personally, I would prefer better steering wheel adjustment, but those are small things. So I think if you're looking for an EV, then the Nissan Leaf has to be on your shopping list. It is not only is it a fantastic electric car, but it's a good car in general. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If so, give it a massive thumbs up. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. And if you aren't subscribed, guys, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe for more car obsession.